All right, good evening. I am Britt Bird, Senior Planner for Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso.
And I am Tal Litwin, Planning and Policy Analyst for Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso.
This Uniform Land Use Review Procedure public hearing is being conducted from the Brooklyn Borough Hall courtroom on Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025. Please note that this hearing is being streamed via WebEx and recorded to comply with the Open Meetings Law. The video will later be posted on the Brooklyn Borough President's YouTube channel. We have one item on the agenda this evening. Following the applicant's presentation and any questions from the chair, members of the public will be invited to testify on the applications. All comments are limited to 2 minutes. We will accept testimony both in person and virtually through WebEx. Members of the public who wish to testify in person should sign up on the sign-in sheets at the front of the room. Those who wish to comment via WebEx online should use the raise hand function and keep their hands raised until they have delivered testimony. Members of the public may also submit comments in writing to testimony@brooklynbp.nyc.gov for the Borough President's consideration until Friday, December 5th, 2025. Please call the first item.
Calendar item number 1, 20 Berry Street. A private application by Mahata Corporation requesting a zoning map amendment from M11 to M12, a zoning text amendment to expand the industrial business incentive area, and zoning special permits to facilitate a new 192,000 square foot commercial and industrial building with publicly accessible open space at 20 Berry Street in Williamsburg, Community District 1, Brooklyn. Please state your name and present this application.
Thank you. My name is Howard Goldman. I'm a partner at Goldman Harris, LLC. Our firm specializes in New York City zoning and land use. I've been doing this since 1980, starting with Deputy Counsel to the City Planning Commission. With me is Diane Liebs, who is a Planning and Development Specialist at Goldman Harris, formerly a Code and Zoning Analyst at Milrose Consultants, and Chris Havens, who is a veteran leasing broker, currently Managing Director of Office Leasing at Terra CRG, which is, I believe, the only commercial real estate brokerage firm focused exclusively on the Brooklyn market. The property owner and our client, Hadi Hajar, is a little late, but he'll be here in a few minutes. Hadi is the founder of Mirtex Trading Corp., which is a wholesaler of imported goods. He founded the business in 1981 and has been located in North Brooklyn since 1986. So with that, let me ask Diane if she'll take everybody through our slide presentation.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me? Are you able to hear me? Is that better? Yes. Okay, great. All right. Good evening. My name is Diane Liebs. I'm from Goldman Harris, and I'll be taking you through our proposed project at 20 Berry. So our proposed project is a 10-story mixed-use building. It would be comprised of a mix of uses, mainly industrial and commercial, and the commercial component will consist of retail uses, restaurant uses, and office uses to create a building that's approximately 192,000 square feet, which is a 4.8 FAR building. It'll have 80 parking spaces, 2 loading berths, and there'll be approximately 10,000 square feet of publicly accessible open space on the outside of the building. So in order to facilitate this development, we're seeking a few land use actions, the first of which is a zoning map amendment from M11 to M12, the purpose of which is to enable us to be able to apply for the IBIA special permit. The second is a zoning text amendment to expand the industrial business incentive areas, the IBIA areas, to include our site. And then the third is the IBIA special permit itself, which would allow for modifications to height, setback, floor area, the plaza, parking, and loading. So regarding the first land use action, the zoning map amendment, as you can see on the left, our existing zoning district is M11, and our intention is to rezone to M12. So that would be adjusting the location of the existing M12 zoning district boundary to the west of the site and having our building be the same zoning district as the majority of the neighborhood to the west. Here's the tax map showing the current conditions. So currently there are 8 tax lots on the site, all of which are owned by the applicant, Hadi Hajar, and each of which consist of a single-story manufacturing building. So there's 8 single-story manufacturing buildings on the site. In terms of neighborhood context, to the south, it's predominantly residential in yellow. To the east, we're directly across from McCarran Park. And then to the north and west, there are industrial uses shown in purple and commercial uses shown in red. So our proposed building, which is industrial and commercial, is in line with the character of the neighborhood that's there currently. In terms of the zoning resolution text amendment, we're proposing to change from what's shown on the left to what's shown on the right. So on the left, that shows the current industrial business incentive areas. And so we're interested in having our site mapped as an IBIA as well. That way we can use the IBIA special permit. In terms of community benefits, we believe that our project will provide a lot of benefits to the community. Predominantly that will be supporting industry, since as part of the special permit, we would be required to maintain a specified amount of manufacturing space. So this will ensure that manufacturing uses will remain on the site. In addition to that, we'll be providing community serving retail, open space, a building that we really believe is an appropriate scale for the neighborhood, resiliency, and fueling local jobs, since this project will be generating 600 new jobs according to the environmental assessment statement. In terms of existing conditions, as I mentioned before, the site consists of single-story industrial buildings, 8 of them, they're shown in red here. And then behind us, you can see the William Vale Hotel in terms of location. So we're right next to that. And this building in the middle of the screen is our proposed building. So again, directly next to the William Vale Hotel on one side, and then on the other side, we're directly across from McCarran Park. And in designing this building, our architect was sure to create a building that had a scale and a massing that was respectful of the surrounding context in terms of both the surrounding buildings and McCarran Park. So he made sure to have the majority of the building set back as far from possible, or on the northern side of the lot, so that it would be farther from McCarran Park to make sure that more light and air would be able to circulate to the park. So this here is showing our ground floor as well as the street context surrounding it. So on North 12th Street and Berry Street, you can see that there are bike lanes on those 2 streets. So in order to be mindful of that, this proposed development would be removing all of the existing curb cuts from both of those streets that have bike lanes. And instead we'll be just having one curb cut that's on the street with no bike lanes and as far as possible from the street intersection. That way it keeps in mind pedestrian safety and isn't close to the intersection or close to cyclists. And so that curb cut will be serving both the parking garage that's below grade and the loading berths. So going up higher in the building, here's an example of a floor plate showing various uses. For instance, blue is the required industrial uses. And as you can see, the building's interior was designed so that the tenant spaces can be broken up into spaces of different sizes. That way it can serve the needs of whichever tenants are interested in moving in there. Specifically, they can be broken up to be small so that if there are startups who are interested in moving in, then they'd be able to have a space that can accommodate just their small needs. And then as they continue to grow, there'd still be spaces within this building that could accommodate them so that they wouldn't be forced to leave the neighborhood or even the building. Here's another floor plan, again, showing various uses that are proposed in the building, as well as tenant spaces of various sizes that can, again, be broken up based on the tenant's needs. And this is a section, and from here you can see how the building steps back as it gets higher. And again, it's showing the various uses that are proposed in the building. So purple represents permitted uses. Those are like restaurant and retail uses. The parking area is shown as well. Blue is required industrial uses, And then yellow is incentive uses, which are creative office type uses. And here's another section taken through the building, again, showing those various uses and the bulk of the building. So the next few slides show the plaza that's proposed and the various amenities that are proposed to be within it. So here you can see benches and trees. And another cut through showing, again, various amenities, trees, benches, and movable seating, planters, and things like that. And this is what the building is proposed to look like. So the base of the building is this darker brick that's supposed to be reminiscent of the industrial character of the neighborhood. And then as you get higher, it sets back. And that material for the upper portion of the building is going to be terracotta. And here you can see the various open spaces that are proposed. The architect and landscape architect were sure to make it a nice green space that has lots of trees and is inviting to the residents of the neighborhood as well as people who are entering or leaving the Karen Park. Here's another view of it highlighting the retail pavilion on the corner. Again, another vantage point showing both the plaza space and the proximity to McCarran Park. And here you can see the lighting, the benches, the landscaping, and other various amenities that are proposed. And then here you can see an example of a mural. So the applicant Hadi on his buildings that are there now currently has murals that were created by local artists. And so he wants to maintain that for his project here. And so he's intending to incorporate that component for his new development as well. And then this is the main entrance to the building. And then in the back, you can see some bicycle parking spaces that are covered. We also have bicycle parking spaces on Berry Street and then more inside the building as well. And this is our last slide, again, showing the plaza, and we'd be happy to take any questions you have.
Great, thank you for the presentation. Just a few questions. Did the applicant consider any other zoning districts for this application, including any of the new so-called growth districts created by City of Yes for economic opportunity?
So in order to apply for the IBIA special permit, oh, sure, is it better?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. So in order to be eligible for the IBIA special permit, there are 2 zoning districts as currently listed in the zoning resolution that would be eligible, one of which is M12 and the other is M14. And so we chose the lower density district that was currently available.
Great, thanks. What are the anticipated parking needs for the industrial uses on site, and would the applicant consider waiving additional commercial parking spaces from the proposed project?
So as proposed, for this project, there would be, I believe it's 700 plus spaces that would be required based on the zoning resolution. And so we're already seeking a waiver to reduce those parking requirements down to 80. Even just the industrial spaces alone, based on a parking requirement of 1 to 300 square feet, would require 100 plus spaces. So we're providing even fewer than that. And so we tried to create a nice balance of making sure to provide some parking for the tenants, but not providing too much parking so that it would be something that's not suitable for such a transit-oriented site.
And then you mentioned this briefly, but if you could just summarize again quickly, like how will the proposed project affect curb cuts on Berry, North 12th, and North 13th Streets?
So on North 12th Street and Berry Street, there are currently curb cuts there. I believe it's 1 per tax lot. And we're removing all of the curb cuts from both of those street frontages those are the 2 that have the bike lanes. And so we're removing all of those existing curb cuts, and we won't be having any curb cuts on those streets. And instead, we'll just be having a curb cut on the other street, which doesn't have a bike lane. And there would just be one curb cut there, which would be serving the loading berth and the parking area.
Yeah. I was just going to add, we need one to service the industrial. So that's going on 13th Street which is not a bike lane street. And all the others are going away.
And then how would the proposed project interact with the renovation of the McCarran Park Blacktop across the street?
So as we understand it, there are a lot of active uses proposed for that space. So I think it was like pickleball courts, dog run and things like that, a lot of active uses. And so our outdoor areas have seating and places where people can sit either before they do those activities or after, or if there's a parent who's waiting for their child or something, or if someone who wants to have lunch, they would have some place to sit. So we think that it's a nice complementary use to those active uses that are being proposed across the street.
So McCarran is known as an active recreation area, quite big. This is a passive area for sitting and landscaping and the things that really you can't do in McCarran Park. So they complement each other quite nicely.
So then, if you could elaborate, why is only part of the proposed public space designated as a publicly owned public space or POPs Plaza? And during what hours would the proposed public spaces be open to the public?
So the plaza portion of the site is what, there's a specific area that's needed to have the height that we're hoping to have on the site. And so that's the area that's designated as the plaza. And the other areas aren't needed for the height bonus, but we are proposing additional areas so that there's more open space for the public and so that there's a better site plan and better circulation for pedestrians in the area. So those spaces aren't technically considered, they're not bonusable spaces, but someone who's walking through the site wouldn't notice that they're shifting from this bonused area to the non-bonused area. And then we tried to provide as many amenities in line with the POPs regulations as we could in those spaces.
Yeah, the plaza complies 99% with the regulations for bonusable plazas. The other areas can't comply with those regulations, but they're public nonetheless.
And has the applicant engaged with any relevant city agencies to explore a potential public restroom as part of the POPs Plaza?
The answer is the community board put this as a condition of their approval about 2 weeks ago. We're doing our homework now. We're trying to determine not only which agencies to reach out to, but what other IBIA buildings, if any, have public restrooms. How badly is it needed? Where are the existing restrooms? So we're studying it now. We would actually, if we get to that point, we'd appreciate your assistance in reaching out to the appropriate people at the city agencies.
And then can you speak to any other conditions, comments, or concerns raised during community board review?
We are delighted that the community board recommended approval by a vote of 31-0. We're just thrilled about that. And we're also very happy that the North Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce, as well as Evergreen, both testified in favor of this project at the community board.
And then curious, was there any discussion or feedback on the plaza design and the I forget what you called it, but the second building on the corner of the smaller building on the corner of Berry and North 12th? Was there any feedback or discussion of the design and layout of that plaza space in relationship to the street?
It was presented, but there was no discussion. There were no comments on it.
Do you have any other questions? Okay, thank you. This panel is now excused.
I just note that Mr. Hajar has just entered the room.
Noted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. We will now call for testimony on this application. First from members of the public in person tonight. Okay, so we have no one signed up to give testimony in person. Is there anyone else present who would like to give testimony? Seeing none, we will move to online. And we will encourage anyone who would like to provide testimony to please use the raise hand function and keep it raised until called on.
North Brooklyn Open Streets, you can speak.
Am I unmuted? Can you hear me? Anyone? Can we hear me?
Great.
You can hear me. Yes?
Yes, we can hear
Okay,
you.
sorry. My name is Solveig Entwistle. I am a volunteer with North Brooklyn Open Streets. We are the DOT community partner for Barry Open Street, which runs from Broadway to North 12th. For over 5 years, we've been advocating to make it easier to walk and bike on Barry Street. And while we appreciate the developers dedicating public open space, 80 underground parking spaces, excessive and unnecessary for the neighborhood, particularly as 20 Barry is close to transit, B32, B62, Nassau Ave G, Bedford Ave L. So the site has also incredible access to bike lanes on Kent and on the Barry Bike Boulevard. I'm just here to say I'm urging the Brooklyn Borough President to request that the developer reduce the amount of underground parking, not just because underground parking is extremely expensive to build, but it is also an overinvestment and it will go unused. The community board actually has real world evidence, CB1 has real world evidence showing that underground parking facilities aren't necessary in our neighborhood, and they don't reflect how people get around, and it's not in line with the character of the neighborhood. On Barry Street, another garage owner just went to CB1 asking to convert his parking spaces. So he has parking spaces underground on Barry Street that are not being used, and he had to go to the community board, hire a lawyer, pay money to have that use changed. We're asking that you reduce the number of parking spaces to just fit in line with the character of the neighborhood and the flood-prone McCarran asphalt lot across the street. So in conclusion, now is the chance to choose a smarter design, and I hope the development team takes this into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin Lachera?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Hi, my name is Kevin Lachera. I'm a fourth generation Greenpointer and an organizer and a volunteer with the Bankers Anchor Public Plaza and the Barry Open Street right in this area here, as well as a stakeholder in the redesign of the McCarran asphalt lot, which the Greenpoint community and Williamsburg community have been advocating for many years. This is a very welcome project. It is really wonderful to see the investment in the space, and I wanted to thank both the owner of the site as well as the company that he's working with, as to their receptiveness for all the community concerns that are coming forward and the investment in the area. Organizers have been working and advocating for this space to be a major pedestrian and bicycling corridor connecting green spaces in our neighborhood these last 5 years. And so we want that process to continue. I know that is a process that all of our elected officials have been hugely supportive of, including our borough president. And so, with that in mind, I appreciate the fact that the loading docks are going to be moving off of Berry Street. I would echo those concerns of the Open Street Coalition to just say we should further reduce that amount of parking that is underground. Again, we hear it time and time again that these underground garages are not being used. This is a major transit area and corridor. I would much rather see that money and intention invested in the McCarran asphalt lot redesign that is ongoing right across the street, further green infrastructure and flood infrastructure, further public infrastructure in the area here. So that would be my request, for both the borough president as they are considering recommendations, as well as for the corporation to say, please be investing in green infrastructure, as well as more public space, street safety improvements along the way here. We are eager to talk about that with you and make this project even better. Thank you. Oh, also, sorry. There's one person that is not able to raise their hand because they are on the phone. Can I give you that phone number so you can unmute them?
Sure. Also, if they're able to chat, I guess maybe not if they're phone.
I don't know. Let me give you the phone number there so you can you guys can figure it out. It's a 508.
Actually, to keep some privacy, there's only one phone number in the waiting room, so we can promote them
Okay.
without having to read out the number. So,
Okay.
But thank you for your testimony.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Great. Okay, so the phone number in the waiting room, you've now been promoted and should be able to unmute. If you could just briefly introduce yourself before beginning your testimony. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm calling in and walking around Manhattan, so I apologize for the sound. I'm Megan Canale, an advocate who works on Banker's Anchor and a neighbor who uses both these public passive and active spaces. I do want to echo, I'm very excited about the proposal and I'm really excited about the project. And I really appreciate you taking the time to hear our feedback and taking the feedback from the community. I think this is a really exciting project. I also didn't know about the bathroom study. I think that would be a huge addition. And as well, to echo both what Sylvia and Kevin said, I think there's a better use of the money and effort in reducing the underground parking for the AD spaces. We have so many different avenues of transit, and it is really just such a pedestrian, cyclist friendly transit area that I would really like to see that energy and money redirected elsewhere. Thank you.
If there's anyone else who would like to provide testimony, here's the last call. Use the raise hand function. If you're unable to navigate or can't quite get the raised hand function to work, you can also send a chat in the private chat to the meeting host. But seeing no further public comment, we will now say that this item is now closed. And having exhausted our agenda, we will say now that this ULURP public hearing is now closed. The Borough President will review this application and submit his recommendation to the City Planning Commission, which will hold its hearing on the item at a later date. As a reminder, members of the public may submit comments to testimony at brooklynbp.nyc.gov for the Borough President's consideration until Friday, December 3rd, 2025. This meeting is now adjourned.